This channel is made possible through the support of generous listeners just like you. If you would like to be a part of helping us bring our message of hope, peace, love, and spiritual truth to the world, please consider heading to experienceofthesoul.com/support, where you can join us as an ongoing patron or simply make a one-time gift. Blessings on the journey, dear friend.
Natural Awakenings Magazine and Unity of Nashville present The Authentic Spiritual Journey, a weekly show featuring real and practical spiritual conversations from diverse perspectives here on the Experience of the Soul podcast channel. Today, episode 81, The Stages of the Path. And now your host, Reverend Cynthia Alice Anderson.
Hello, and welcome to the Authentic Spiritual Journey. My name is Cynthia Alice Anderson. I am the host, and I'm here in 818 Studios with my producer.
Hey, everybody, this is Dave Croft. I hope that you are doing well today. Happy Monday, and welcome to another episode of the Authentic Spiritual Journey.
Yeah, happy Monday. We love to be the ones to welcome you into your work week. And there's a lot of exciting news going on in my life, in my business, in the studio right now even. And I'm just happy to be here bringing the show today, but so many people from around the country signed up for my Dream Big, Live Big course, and I feel really honored to be able to bring the class, and I'm just going to do this as a regular thing now. The next class I'm going to be doing starting in April will be on my book, 7 Spiritual Laws of Release, and I'm making the decision, I did rather a few days ago, to accompany that class with some podcast shows because I think it'll really support people. And that new redesigned, re-edited book will be coming out very soon as well.
Now you're actually about to start a class, right?
Yes. Yeah. Well, no, I'm in it. It started on January 13th. Oh, that's today.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's today.
Now, as of this recording, there are still a few spots available.
Yes.
So you could maybe, if you're listening to this in the morning, maybe check out the website, CynthiaAliceAnderson.com. We'll have a link in our show notes.
Yeah.
And see if there are any spots available still.
Right. And I want to encourage you to go on there and give me your email because later in the year, too, all the people that have been attending my classes throughout the year, I'm going to do a retreat. I'm looking at retreat centers right now, and there's 3 I'm considering. So I've got the top 3. I'll be making a decision on that within the next 30 days, probably. So there's a lot of exciting stuff happening.
Yeah, and I want to ask you, like the classes. It's not just a sermon or whatever, and it's
right.
not that. I don't mean to sound like I'm disparaging sermon.
Just a sermon,
right? It's not a sermon, and it's not like the Wednesday night classes you were doing at CCU. There's more to it, right?
Well, right. I mean, this is a really in-depth course, and Dream Big, Live Big. What's been so amazing about who is registered, I've got a filmmaker, I've got a businesswoman, I've got an opera singer. So there's a wide variety of backgrounds, and what we're all going to be doing is looking at what are our dreams, really getting permission to voice those dreams, and then getting support from other class members to then really move forward on those dreams. So there's going to be a lot of support in the class to dream big and then to move into living those dreams, and the accountability piece is tremendous as well. So it will be, each person will receive an accountability partner, and I'm assigning those based on the people that I know and the souls that I'm familiar with. So that's going to really support people's journey. If you got nothing else from the class, but a really good accountability partner, I'm telling you, it will definitely help you move forward on the journey.
Yeah, and you can go to, like I said, CynthiaAliceAnderson.com to register for that.
Yeah.
There is some cost involved.
There is a cost involved.
Because it's going much deeper, and there is it's a much more interactive type of an experience. Is that right?
Yes. And it is deeper, and it's why I limited the class to 20 people. I did upgrade my Zoom to Zoom Pro. I could take as many as 100, but I want to limit it to 20, and that way the attention I can give each person is individual. And as a part of the course, too, everybody gets a free 30-minute one-on-one call with me so that I can really see how I can support the journey and maybe shine the light a different direction, maybe that they haven't seen. And then there's discounted one-on-one appointments with me as well. So you get a lot for the money. And again, the support for your dreams is going to be tremendous. So I do encourage you to check it out if you can. If you can't do this class, be thinking about saving up for the next one, because I have a feeling there's a core group that's just going to keep doing each class, because each class will take us deeper into our own soul and into our own journey.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, today we are in 818 Studios, and I'm laughing because the other day my son was commenting. He goes, "It's 8:18." That was the time on the clock, and he goes, "Oh, 818 Studios." So,
That's, I think I've talked about this on the show. That's, the number 818 just kept coming up between me and Shannon, and we'd look at our phones, or we'd look at the time, and it was just 8:18. And so that's when we kind of went into the Bible and found a verse, Deuteronomy 8:18, which kind of resonated with that. And, we mentioned there are some changes, kind of happening. There are some sponsorship changes. And at the end of every episode, you might have heard a little musical tag. That's the 818 Studios Sonic brand.
Oh, I know. I love that. I went onto your site. See, to me, that's exciting. All this new energy that's coming forward in 2020. And, I can't help it because of it's 2020. I keep being about clear vision for myself, for my life. I mean, so much so, I even just went and did an eye doctor appointment. I said, I keep saying 2020 vision. Do I need to be seeing clearly in the physical realm? And in fact, I do. New glasses on the way, friends. But 2020, your new brand, my new classes, and I know so many people are really waking up to the idea there is more for me to, and it's not about to have, but more for me to be and do.
That's right.
We have plenty, friends. We want to move into a greater beingness where we are sharing and being a gift to the world. David Owen Ritz said it this way in his program, Keys to the Kingdom. He says, the world was not given to you, you were given to the world. And it's about really seeking and discovering to live that gift. And so that's what we're all about. That's what Dave's all about, empowering as well. So we are glad you're with us on this journey of the evolving soul. That is for sure. So today, the title of this show is
The Stages of the Path.
I couldn't see you, so you took it right out of my mouth.
I thought you teed me up for that.
Somebody watching the video will go, "Oh, she didn't know he was going to do that." So yeah, the stages of the path. And we had so many comments about our last show. I want to revisit a little bit. The last show was about the search for God, and we talked about the various stages of how we're searching for God. And this is going to sound very similar, but hopefully it'll be a little bit of a deepening into the material, because as the stages of the path, what I mean is that we go from a state of unconscious, where in the business world would be called unconscious, incompetent. You don't even know that you don't know. Well, this happens spiritually as well. We were talking about it in the last show, mainly as it relates to our spiritual journey, but it's interesting because as we wake up, it just becomes the way we live. Everything is from this higher consciousness. It's not just about our spiritual life. It is about life itself. And I almost didn't do the show because I thought, this is so deep, and you're going to have to listen very carefully probably to the things I say for it to even make sense, because we begin with everything being about the material world. And so let me back up, because several months ago, we did a show called Soul Not Body. We've talked a lot about evolving soul. We've even said things about young soul, old soul. So when I say we're connected to the material world, that is a young soul. What does that mean? Well, that means you are new here on planet Earth. And part of what I believe, and I believe research, I believe past life regression, all these things support this idea that we are reincarnated, or really rebirthed, over and over and over as we develop and grow in consciousness. Now, for some Christians, this is a brand new idea, and they even bristle, at the idea. But if you look in the scriptures, there's a place, for instance, where people are saying to Jesus, who is he? Is he Elijah? In other words, is he the spirit of Elijah reborn into this new manifestation? I mean, that's what those questions meant. Well, in most Christianity today, because there's not an understanding that reincarnation was a teaching of the time in the place that Jesus would have grown up, it was really a religious crossroads. So it would have been a very known teaching and would have been an accepted idea that we are souls that reincarnate, that we're born over and over and over. And the reason a moment ago I said, really, we're rebirth, the teaching of the East says the only ones really reincarnated are the masters, and they reincarnate to come and blessing and bring a teaching to the masses, which obviously is what Jesus did. So, and so many would say, well, the teachers of the East, Buddha predated Jesus. Well, many people would say Jesus is just Buddha in another form in another time. So anyway, all that said, when I say the word reincarnation, if you're Christian and you go, I don't know, I don't believe in that stuff. Well, ask yourself, why not? And ask yourself, is believing in reincarnation somehow taking away your Jesus? And it won't.
Well, yeah, I think for me, because when I first started coming to CCU and reincarnation and everything, I didn't necessarily bristle against it, but I was like, man, that's not really what I was taught, because I feel like, and maybe you can answer this, I feel like that kind of goes against the idea that when you die, you go to heaven and you have your palace in heaven and, you worship God, 24/7 in heaven. And I think reincarnation kind of seems contrary to that concept.
Well, it does. It also says, in heaven, 1,000 years are as a day, and a day 1,000 years. So, we don't understand that either. So yes, I think the idea that we go to heaven and just play harps and stroll around on golden streets
in our mansion, that we put brick by how good we were on earth, right?
Right. Well, what's amazing about that idea is that it's not far from the Eastern teaching either about what happens when we die to the soul, that we do go, in fact, to an afterlife, and that afterlife is filled with whatever consciousness we were in on earth. So there's a wonderful movie that is on this very topic, and it's old. It's Albert Brooks.
And Meryl Streep, Defending Your Life.
Defending Your Life.
One of my favorite movies of all time.
Oh my gosh, it is hilarious. And it's about a man who dies. He's totally unconscious. And the man dies in a car accident. And when he goes, to heaven, where he lives is so different from where Meryl Streep lives.
Yeah, right.
He's like a Motel 6 and she's like at the Waldorf Astoria or something.
Yeah, because they're kind of in this in-between, and they have lawyers, and they watch scenes from their life, and they're on trial to determine whether they go back and kind of give it another shot or they ascend to next.
Well, I don't know if they're lawyer, but there's a council they go before.
Right.
There's a council.
Rip Torn is
yes. And then even the kind of food they go, you wouldn't understand it. You're not using enough of your brain. So watch that movie. It might help with some of the concepts. But what I want to encourage you to know is God is so much bigger than any dogma any of us have been taught, myself included. I'm going to say that again. God is bigger than any dogma you have been taught, than any dogma I have been taught. And so if reincarnation is a huge stumbling block for you, well, then let it go. That's fine. I don't personally have a need for you to believe it. What I can tell you is if you can understand the wider concept of reincarnation, everything else I'm about to say will make sense. So I'm not here to convince anybody. It's a teaching I understand that gives me a framework for the soul.
Yeah, and I hope I don't come off as combative or whatever.
Oh, not at all.
It's just I'm kind of I kind of like the idea, like I can get on board.
Well, it helped when I first learned about it, and I'm glad we're going deep into this, because when I first learned about it, I said, I've been here before. I don't know. But then what happened is because I was an adult when I was a late teenager when my dad, who rarely went to church. Maybe he went a few times a year. When my dad said he believed in reincarnation, I thought that was so interesting. He said, "Oh, honey, this is not our first time around." And so, as I got older and learned more, I looked back at my childhood, and I had moments in childhood when I had what I would call a past life memory, a memory of another time, another place. And once I started opening to that, I will get these little snapshots of lifetimes, feelings, images. And a friend of mine several years ago, I said, I need to sit down. I'm getting a past life bleed through right now that I think is going to help me in my soul journey. I need to write it down. And she said, I can feel it. So she sensed this kind of lifting of a veil for me to get this glimpse. So the idea of reincarnation wasn't brand new when I learned about it, but I didn't really know anything. But it made sense because I had memories of, oh yeah, I remembered something. How would I know to do that or think that? Well, that was from another life because I had never experienced anything like that this lifetime. Or one surefire way to know, a friend of mine said to me one time, I said, I want to take you out to the barn to meet my horse. And she said, oh, no, I'm scared of horses. I said, well, what happened? She said, what do you mean what happened? I said, well, what happened that made you scared? She goes, oh, nothing. I'm just terrified. And I'm going, okay, a horse has done nothing to you. You have no experience this lifetime. What is that about? And I said, well, I can assure you that I won't even open the gate and you'll be safe if you would like to experience that. And if not, I don't want to push you. She said, oh, I'd love to. Even though I'm scared, I want to face this fear. And so by naming your fear, by facing the fear and moving through it, she got to heal something that I'm quite sure must have been left over from a past life because there was nothing this lifetime to give her any indication of why she should be scared of horses.
Right.
So very often that's how we'll call them either memories, past life bleed-throughs. I will call them, just things that need to be healed from the past. And that's how you know. How do those things come up in you? A past life bleed-through I had was when I lived in Phoenix, and I must have been a cowboy there or something because in some life because I was working there at the church at Unity of Phoenix. So wonderful people, wonderful experience. And as sometimes I would pull my car into places like the grocery store or at church. And what I would think is, I wonder, and this is going to sound so funny, I wonder where I'm going to park my horse. I wonder where I'm going to put my horse. Literally, where is the tie to tie where's the
hitching post.
Yeah, where's the hitching post to tie up my horse? And what was funny is right behind Unity of Phoenix, there was a house that had horses. And so I was seeing them all the time. So it was really in my consciousness, and I rode there as well. So, but there was some connection for me, maybe something that needed to be completed for me in Phoenix around horses. And that's how it would show up. That's how it would manifest. So I'm saying all this to say, when you're a young soul, you don't have a lot of these old experiences that are informing you. All you know is the physical world, and you think that's all there is. I want to say to the person next to you, honey, it ain't all there is.
Honey, it ain't all there is.
Good job. Good job, Dave.
I said that to the little collectibles on my desk.
Yeah, very good one. Your Star Wars figures.
Right, exactly.
So, in the soul's development, in the soul's evolution, what happens is that the soul, when it is rebirthed and comes back to planet Earth over and over and over, theoretically, the soul is growing and evolving. And with that growth and evolvement, there are new memories, there are new experiences that help the soul know itself. And when the soul is young, it doesn't know itself. All it knows is the outward material world. The one with the most toys wins. We've all known people like that. Mm-hmm. This is the person who's, sleeping with 3 people at a time, making all the money they can make, climbing the corporate ladder for the sake of climbing it. Doesn't matter who they get on the way up, as long as they're successful. Everything is rooted in the outer. This is the behavior of a young soul. This is the behavior of a young soul. So this is one of the initial stages of the path that I'm speaking of. So on the soul journey, there are many different stages. The base stage, obviously, is being stuck in the material world. Well, when you're born, reborn, what ends up happening is that each lifetime you start to get more and more disillusioned with what the world has to offer, because you find, even though you have the money, even though you have the sex, even though you have the material wants, there is something within you that is deeply unsatisfiable. That no matter how much you get or how much you put in, you cannot feel complete, and you're not sure how. It's like it just goes as like this irritant in your system. Well, this irritant, what I mentioned last show, what Mary Mann Morrissey calls divine discontent, this irritant is the beginning of the awakening. This is the beginning of waking up, when you start saying, there must be more to this. There must be more. So we're going to leave you right there. We're going to come back right after these messages and complete this show of the stages of the path.
We'll return to the program in just a few moments, but first, we wanted to give a special word of thanks to our podcast partner, Natural Awakenings Magazine of Central Florida, Greater Orlando. Each month, Natural Awakenings magazines across the country take a practical look at the latest natural approaches to nutrition, fitness, creative expression, personal growth, and sustainable living. Natural Awakenings magazine is a free publication and is available in selected stores, health and education centers, healing centers, public libraries, and wherever free publications are located. You could learn more, including advertising opportunities for your business, by calling 407-628-0705. Also, we would like to extend our special thanks to Unity of Nashville, a sister ministry of CCU Orlando. If you're searching for a like-minded church community and a personal connection that supports your heart and mind in the Central Tennessee area, then join Unity of Nashville at 10 a.m. every Sunday at 5125 Franklin Pike. For more information, head over to unityofnashville.org. And now we return you to this week's episode of The Authentic Spiritual Journey with your host, Reverend Cynthia Alice Anderson.
Welcome back. We're glad you're with us. I have a feeling that first half has really gotten you thinking. And what's so interesting to me with every show is I think it might go a certain direction. It goes a little bit different one. But what I love about this topic is that it's not a topic that gets talked about a lot, even though in today's world that's so saturated with spirituality, you hear talk about karma and reincarnation, but people don't really understand the deeper, spiritual implications. So I am really glad we are talking about it here on the show. And again, what we want to do is give you context, not only for your own journey, but for the world itself. And so when you see someone acting out and you think, my God, they are so dumb, the answer is yes, they are, because they are rooted in the material world. And part of me, wants to say, when I hear stuff like that, they can't help it. They're just not at that stage of development yet. And this is not an egotistic thing to say. It's just a reality. We're all at different stages of development, and you cannot expect every single person to be coming to consciousness in the exact way you are.
Just like, you're not going to fuss at a toddler who's not potty trained yet.
Yeah, it's like, oops, made a mess.
Yeah, you don't get mad at them. It's just like if somebody is not, spiritually potty trained.
Of course, I know
they're
it
just
is
going to make a mess everywhere.
And I was going to say, I also know it is harder when that person is in a position of power and can create war with decision makers and things like that. So I'm not minimizing that, but it helps to pull back some of the projections, some of the anger and resentment pieces that really might be getting in your way, when in fact your judgment of them, of what they're doing, doesn't help at all. You can just say, oh boy, there's a young soul, and move on, and then get back to work on your stuff and your journey. So we want to give you context for certain behaviors and certain understandings. As I said at the beginning, in the business world, when you don't know and you don't know you don't know, you're called an unconscious incompetent, right? And
yeah, I had heard that, like unconscious unknowing, I think.
Unconscious unknowing. Yeah. And so there's also this great psychological tool. It's called Johari's window, because the two guys that came up with it, Joe and Harry, Johari's window, and it talks about things that are blind to you. And so at certain stages of development, certain things are blind to you. Now, as you begin to awaken, and as I said, that divine discontent of you thinking there's got to be more, that can happen right along the journey as you're experiencing life, right along the journey as you've been asleep in one area, and suddenly this divine discontent comes through, and you're like, there must be more. And so it starts to happen on many different levels. Even the mind, there is a mental waking up, because sometimes we get really associated with the mind. The mind begins to wake up. The body begins to wake up. And the body very often wakes up when there is a diagnosis. The body and the mind and the soul suddenly are all working together. It's like, oh, my body's not working like it's supposed to. Oh, maybe there's a different way of doing things. That then becomes a decision maker along your journey, a point of, it's like a choice point in the soul journey. Are you going to evolve or not? And I've known many, many people over the years who, let's say, have had, and it's been several different diagnoses, so I'm just going to pick one. Heart problems. I'll take my dad, for instance, because that's one very close to home. My dad had heart issues and high blood pressure, and he chose to drink and smoke and eat bacon or sausage or barbecue or all the things you're not supposed to eat, and was surprised when he had a stroke. And he knew he wasn't supposed to do it. So he got out, I got out of the hospital, survived that one, started doing better. Well, I'm sorry to say there is a sad end to this story, because he just could not pull himself out of the alcohol addiction, the old way of doing things, and he passed away at like 61. That's really young. He just, for whatever reason, was not ready to wake up in that aspect of his life. Even though he believed in God, even though he believed, as I said, in reincarnation, I learned a lot of very valuable things for him. He could not shake the addiction for whatever reason. He could not shake the addiction and the old habits, the old way of eating, the old way of thinking about himself. And so, for him to give up certain things, it felt like not living. Mm-hmm. He'd rather roll his own cigarette and smoke and drink and work his way slowly into his grave. Well, that was his prerogative. That was his prerogative. That was his journey. I knew another person who had extreme stomach problems. The doctor tried to take him off all the medications. Tried to take him off all the food, was giving him medication and things like that, and they wouldn't do it.
Just not going to be a participant in their own well-being.
It's like, I want to eat how I want to eat. Well, you know what? There are consequences to that.
Yeah, believe me, I understand.
Another friend, diabetes, same exact thing. It's like you're going to lose limbs. You're going to have pieces of your body taken. Nope. And so, we want to sit back and go, oh, well, they should have done this. They should have done that. Boy, they are a soul on the journey. And for whatever reason, they are really stuck in that body identification this lifetime. Now, what I've noticed also happen when I'm with souls at the end of life, very often there begins to be an awakening at just right before passing. Sometimes it's minutes, hours, days, but usually it's in the last few days of life. There tends to be this awakening of, oh, this is what I was here to do, or, oh, this is what I didn't get. And so when that happens, I think, okay, great. They're going to take this new awareness into the afterlife, whatever may happen there. And whether you're in a Motel 6 or a mansion of gold playing a harp, you're going to go into your next into the afterlife, and when you come back for the next incarnation, there will be a new awareness, a new energy, a new awakening that you're bringing into this lifetime and into this new life wave. So, I hope this is making sense, friends. The waking up happens in various ways. I've really focused on waking up of the body, and then there's also, I skimmed over it, the waking up of the mind. Old thoughts that keep us stuck. And of course, the mind, the body, the soul, they're all intimately related. But believe it or not, each one has a way of waking up, because you can start, shifting out of body being stuck in the body consciousness without fully waking up the mind by just doing what you're told. It doesn't mean you're really awakened to it. You're just doing what you're told. So you begin to wake up, and it happens on every single level. The soul is active in every aspect of all of this awakening. So if you've been on the path for a while and you know to eat well, to bring in new thoughts, new energies, new ways of being, your soul is guiding you forward. Well, there comes a point, a moment where everything then becomes about being self-realized. And it's the soul completely takes over your journey, and you realize the divine is in you, through you, as you, and everything then is guided by this awareness. So it's not like, okay, I'm going to work on my thoughts and I'm going to create a new reality. Okay, I'm going to start eating different foods so my body feels better. The soul's guiding all of those decisions, all of those actions, all of the eating, all of the thinking, the career moves. And very often, to an outside person, they go, wow, how did they know to make that move? Or, oh, wow, that seemed like a pretty big risk. Well, if you're operating from the soul, you're really dialed into your guidance and you're guided to go a certain way or move a certain way, you know your next steps are going to be supported by the universe because you're so connected and so awakened to this idea. And as I'm saying this, I know that many people that are listening right now are in this place. I'm not saying I'm there and you're not, or we're there and you're not. We are all continuing to wake up to this idea. God is everywhere. God is present in our souls. God is working in and through us, right? So this is important to remember. Very, very important to remember that you are waking up, and it is from the level of the soul that we awaken, and it starts impacting every aspect of our lives. Every aspect of our lives. So just breathe that in for a moment. That's what I'm going to do. When we are still stuck in this material consciousness, and we all are to a degree at the moment. We live in a very materialistic society that is always telling us who we are, what we are is wrong, right? So we're really, and everybody wants to look good. But the more soul work we do, the journaling, the learning together, the praying, the meditating, the waking up, the more we see that what everybody thinks is completely immaterial, that trying to do what the world thinks gets you nowhere. So I want to encourage you to just kind of take a step back, begin looking more at your journey about some of the choices you're making and see where they are from. Is it from the mind? Is it to convince people you know what you're doing? And see what's driving you in your decisions. Are you taking steps from the level of the soul, or are you so anchored in the mind you can't hear what the soul is saying to you? Are you so focused on the body, in body consciousness, that you're not allowing the soul of you to guide you in the direction? Whatever direction it is you need to go. And I'm being really guided to say, for some reason, into the direction to the right doctor, to the right health, to the right eating patterns. How are you being guided? The people you're with, when you go to be with people, what is the motivation behind that? And so as we start looking inward, we realize all the awakening that we want, all the God that we want, all that we think we have to go out here and get has been here all along. And that awakening can happen in the midst of your very own soul, in the most sometimes mundane choices and situations. That's where awakening is possible, can and does occur on a regular basis. But it is you that has to go inward. It is you that has to look in your very heart and soul to see what is motivating this behavior. And this is not an easy task to do. This is not an easy task to do. But it is very doable as you get quiet and begin to listen to the voice of your soul. As you think back to some of your life decisions, even decisions about a vehicle to buy, a house to buy, where to go on your vacation, what's been prompting that? Look at that. You're going to start to see probably a pattern of what your soul is doing, and the good news is, when you see you've been in, oh man, like I have some friends, and we say, oh man, I'm so stuck in my head right now. I'm stuck in my mind. I need to get to my soul. Well, you're start having conversations like that with your friends and even with yourself, and go, wait. And I have a friend, she'll go, I'm totally in ego right now. Help. I go, I know, right? Come up to the soul. Get out of the ego. So this is an important stage of development. As we begin to notice we're in the ego, well, that's when, again, the awakening can happen again. So awakening is not like some big thing that happens once and like, hey, Dave, I'm awakened. Let's do a show on awakening. I woke up today. We have an opportunity every moment, every day, every hour, every week to awaken to a new version of ourselves as we know more of God. So when I said at the beginning, people are, unconscious of really their true nature. They don't even know that they don't know who they are. They think they know. Well, every stage has a bit of unconsciousness with it. And so as we begin to wake up, as we, learn more, we go, oh, and then remember, we can look back on our journey and see those stages of awakening, see how each phase, each choice was leading us forward, even though we were unconscious of it at the time. So I want to encourage you to do that, to spend some time maybe journaling, to spend some time thinking and praying, and just be mindful now going forward as you start to make a decision, as you start to take on a new dream. Like if you're in our class tonight and you're in Dream Big, Live Big, and you're like, man, there's something I really want to do. Well, what better way for you to get love and support in this awakening is to be with other individuals supporting you on the journey. Yeah. So I want to encourage you to think about doing that. If you can join us, do it, because mostly what we're not seeing is not the world we're not seeing. It's our divinity. And this is what we want to get to, that you don't just have divinity, you are divinity itself. And the dreams that you've had that have been in the background, the desires you've had that have been kind of under the surface, are wanting, that's probably not a right grammar, desire to come forward for you and really help you live into your new manifestation. So I really encourage you, friend, to allow yourself to move forward, to expand, and then to further awaken to the God that you are, to the God that is around you every moment of every day, and know that you are divine. As you wake up, this is an important phase of your spiritual journey. The divinity of God not only is within you, it is you. So we bless you. We thank you for joining us today, and we hope to see you next week on Authentic Spiritual Journey. Thank you for joining us today.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Authentic Spiritual Journey presented by Natural Awakenings Magazine and Unity of Nashville. The Experience of the Soul podcast channel is also made possible through the continued support of our angel patrons, Dove Portland, Peter Gibson, Paul Caswell, Arlene Meyer, Kathy and Terry, Marcia Mott, Nora Miles, Diana Cox, Leslie Williams, Susanna Garcia, and Shayla Mount. The Authentic Spiritual Journey is copyright 2020 Cynthia Alice Anderson, all rights reserved. Our theme music is composed by Dave Croft and used with permission from RR Hot Publishing. The Experience of the Soul podcast channel is a production of 818 Studios.